Kilted balls! Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah, what is up, party people?
Yes. Good to be here.
Have a little lemonade there, but it's almost gone. I'm feeling sad already about it being gone. Listeners, I hope you had a great week. Hope everything was going good. I don't know if you saw my tweet, people. Kilted, you probably saw my tweet. Insanely busy today. Or yesterday. I got home yesterday around 10:30.
That's crazy.
That's a long day. Day.
It was the last day of school, though, right?
No, it was not.
Oh, I was thinking Monday was the last day of school because some other comments that were made last week.
No.
With the guys.
Nope, we got time.
Wow.
And
that was a long day.
Today I read through a huge contract, 66 pages. Doing editorial, trying to clean it up. It just took forever. So I was dead today. By the time I got home, I was like...
Well, I did some real work stuff today, which is kind of weird. Because if you remember, Black Lion closed and Southern Lion was opening up February 2023.
Mm-hmm.
It's I moved today. So we did have, to be fair, a temporary setup for the holidays, and they just kept it open. But I was able to move everything today. We have our official spots and everything, and so the store.
So it opened. Did you say it opened in February 2023, and you just moved?
That's what we were originally told. We're opening February 2023. Blah blah blah. I was like, okay, cool. I was kind of sad. Black Lion was closing. It's, is a nice little extra.
Yeah, for sure.
So I haven't had that, which does kind of suck. And the Southern Lion has been okay upstairs as a temporary spot, but I'm hoping that we'll be closer to what Black Lion will be with our real spots. With the new chair. I'm actually going to go there and hang out on a couple weekends. It's like the grand opening for sure. I'll go sit in my booth and talk to customers and stuff. But
when is
today,
the grand opening?
I can't see my thing. I think either next Saturday or 2 Saturdays. So there's a soft opening this weekend, which I won't be able to make it to, but then the grand opening, I think she said the 22nd.
Okay.
I can see my calendar. It looks like the 22nd is a Saturday, so that weekend.
I didn't realize when I tag you in a Twitter post, it doesn't show up as one of my posts. It shows up as a reply.
If you are commenting on something...
I'm not. I just made those posts, the last 2 posts where I tagged you.
Yeah?
I just made those as posts, but I tagged you in the beginning, and it doesn't list them as posts.
That is weird.
Nobody saw my posts. No wonder.
I did.
People did see it.
Couple were seen.
But not how I thought they should be seen.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was nice. It's been a long time since I've moved boxes for 6 straight hours.
And are you sore today after moving them for 6 hours?
I did it today. I did take a nap at jiu-jitsu. More of a nap than normal. so the kids are loving jiu-jitsu, and it's so cool. But the adults, we have to sit in these chairs, and it's the afternoon sun beating in on your head.
Yeah.
And I have no hope. I try.
You could sit in your car. Excuse me, in your car.
Then I can't see them.
But
at least if I'm there sleeping, I'm watching through osmosis.
Oh, I see.
I'm sitting there so I can see them, but I fall asleep because it's afternoon time anyways.
So
it's bedtime.
Cal's been talking. He wants to do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they took a field trip to a place. He's like, I want to do that. And I'm like, I think what you want to do, buddy, is Taekwondo. And he's like, no, I want to do judo. And I was like, well, you can, because that translates best into wrestling. And he has some cousins who do that, and he's all excited. And the best part is then the next time we're all together, we can have a rumble.
There you go. Yeah, that's one thing I really like about the jiu-jitsu over when Oliver used to take the karate is the jiu-jitsu, they're grappling. They're actually doing stuff.
Yes,
they're teaching them how to, they're teaching them takedowns and things like that, where the karate, they were just like, and you had like your little moves you were going through, but that's what they were teaching them, the moves and more of the discipline as opposed to action, which the kids love.
Well, we're going to start that. Morgie's going to come running in, and then this is going to be Cal and Ollie.
This is Sparta!
Awesome.
And Ollie and Cal are both going to kick him at the same time.
That's awesome. Yep, see, that'll work. So I know a lot of people probably love this topic, but...
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
If you didn't realize, listeners, we found the soundboard, and how to edit the soundboard. So we're pretty excited.
It is awesome. So you made a comment about something you wanted to talk about. So that was.
Oh, I did. Oh no, I brought up a screen on my screen. Yeah, so I think the comment, and that's what I'm sad, but I was saying that what you and I were talking about before was the Dunning-Kruger effect, is what it's called.
So you're saying we were talking about that, but we didn't have a name for it.
Yes, we didn't know there was a name, and maybe that's not quite the right name. So I'm like, I'm typing it into my search bar, people, so I don't like F it up.
I was unfamiliar with that. I did look it up, and the thing makes sense.
Yeah, so what it is if there's a lot of ways that people will phrase the Dunning-Kruger effect. But basically, for the sake of the conversations we've been having, some of them offline, some of them online, is that when we're talking about it, we talk about it as if you have a limited competence, if you have limited knowledge about a subject, you overestimate your knowledge of the subject.
Okay.
Right? So that's like the gist, right? And so that was one of the things you and I had talked about that I'm like, the problem is because like people will have such little knowledge, they'll listen to somebody like Joe Rogan or one of his guests and be like, oh my gosh, this guy's a genius, and I'm a genius because I listened to this guy, and now I know that you can do all of this cool stuff, and it's the man keeping us down. And in reality, it's because they have so much limited knowledge that now they're overestimating their knowledge about a particular matter. So the one that hit me is we were talking about the Terrence Howard interview on Joe Rogan.
Yep.
And like the comments, by the way, are gold. People are like, look at Joe Rogan, just like he's so into it and pretending to care. And he's like, this guy is crazy. And I have not watched the full interview. But they're like, even Joe Rogan was thinking he was crazy. And I was laughing about that so much. But the one that hit me because of my area of expertise was people were like, oh, did you see his periodic table? Isn't that crazy? Why doesn't science do that? And I'm like, you're like, not you, right? You didn't bring
no. I had no idea. Like, you had made this comment to me because I thought that was one thing that caught my attention. I thought the periodic table, like how he broke it down, was super cool.
Yes. And so I had heard that before you had said, hey, watch this video. I was like, I've already seen the part I need to see because other people brought it to me, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa, did you see this? Like, why don't they do that? And I'm like, there's thousands of periodic tables. And they're like,
which I didn't realize.
Right. And they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, thousands of periodic tables. The whole point of a periodic table is that you're organizing it by something that repeats, thus the periodic. So there is no one periodic table. There's just the classic periodic table made by Mendeleev and Moseley, two separate scientists created at the same time. And it's just the one most people use because it gives people the most information at a glance.
Yeah.
But like one of our buddies who does nuclear physics showed us his periodic table that he uses all the time. And if you looked at it, it didn't look like any periodic table you'd ever used. Right?
Yes, exactly.
And the point was is that the people who were talking to me about that were like, oh my gosh, did you see this? Blah, blah, blah. Science is dumb. And I'm like, it's just because you're incompetent. Like you don't have, you don't have the knowledge. And so you think you're now at a huge knowledge level because, oh my gosh, you learned of a second periodic table.
Yeah.
When in reality, there's lots and lots and lots and lots of periodic tables. And so you're overestimating your knowledge because you don't know. You don't know.
So one of the... go ahead.
I always tell people, you don't know what you don't know. And I draw, I do a circle example for them, which I always call Einstein's circles. And I don't think Einstein did them. But I'm always like, you just don't know what you don't know. Right?
Yeah.
And the more you know, you actually understand that there's more that you don't know. Right? And so I think the problem is that the less you know about something, you just don't know that. So one of the sports that I work with people on is running and cross country, right? And I will often get the comment from people, oh my gosh, how easy is that? You're just go run.
Yeah.
What a sport to coach. I'm like, I don't think
There's
you
a lot
understand.
more than that. Yeah.
I don't think you understand how involved
if you want your
running
kids to
is.
be good.
Yeah. I'm like, you're right. If I wanted to suck, I'd be like, go run. But there's a lot to running, right? It's a million dollar industry.
Yeah.
Well,
just even tons of, we've covered, I would say hundreds of times. I was going to say thousands, but probably not because we only have a couple hundred episodes. But the mentality aspect of it, along with tons of things in life, is up. People don't think about that. People don't think about the mental aspect of running, and that's huge.
Gosh, it's the biggest for the races I coach. It's incredibly huge. I tell the kids, and I tell the kids actually in most activities that they're doing. I've been signing books for kids this way for the last 2 or 3 weeks. But I'm like, your biggest opponent is you. I'm like, understand that throughout life, that's your biggest adversary. That's who you've got to beat is you. You are your biggest enemy. And that's real, right? That's who you've got to face, and that's a huge mental game that you've got to realize. You are not your biggest supporter.
Yeah. Man, to know that at 18, that's super awesome. Good job.
I mean, I preach, brother. I preach.
Yeah. So I thought that a couple of the things, because I talked to you guys about it, and another group of friends that are on Polo, we all talked about it. And I think the big thing was, especially in a lot of the clips, he said some things that he was misinformed on, even the mathematics that you had talked about.
Sure,
anyone who cares about that, they can look that up. But, we were talking about it, and I was like, so some of the stuff he was talking about is out there. And it could be true. That's fringe stuff. Because there's a lot of, I am a firm believer that there's a lot of lost knowledge out there.
Sure.
So he might be tapped into.
You would not be incorrect. There's a lot of lost knowledge.
Yes. Well, it was funny. That's the punchline to this story. So, I was like, maybe in 5-10 years, we look back at this and he's super smart, or we might look back the same way we feel now. He was way off on this. And my friend John, he was talking about, because it went in the whole gamut, because he thinks that on the Joe Rogan that it's just exactly like you say, it's people who may not have a lot of knowledge watch it and then think they're extra smart because of things they said. So he's like, well, why doesn't Joe Rogan have someone on there to debate with people, especially when they're doing fringe stuff. And I was like, because sometimes, like, I start talking about lost knowledge and stuff, and he doesn't think that there's any lost knowledge. And I was like, okay, like, that's cool. I'd love to see the Joe Rogan where Nikola Tesla is debating with Thomas Edison on how electricity works. Like, I'd love to hear that, because right now we don't know how to do hardly anything that Nikola Tesla was doing. I said, that's lost knowledge, that's money, that's the man keeping us down, that's the government, whatever. So, then he kind of turned his idea around.
Yeah, I mean,
there's things
there's
out there
huge lost knowledge out there. Like, just saying that there's not.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, you can take the languages in China, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you know how many actual languages they speak in China?
A lot. They only speak Mandarin in China?
They have other, like, dialects and stuff, but way back, they killed everybody who spoke all the other languages.
Oh, see, I thought even today there was more than...
There might be a few.
Or is it considered a different dialect? I guess it could be considered a different dialect.
But so, like, if you think about it, like, they went through a time period in their history, like, through one of their dynasties way back. We're talking ancient times. But they...
Before Genghis Khan killed them?
Yes,
a bunch of them?
Before Genghis Khan. Yeah, and they killed off, or they assimilated all those other languages. So instead of having this wide variety of languages, it got really singular because they kind of took care of those people.
Wait a second. There's a story in the Bible, though, where it was one language and they split them up. Yeah. So this was after that?
Yeah, so this is obviously... That was after the Tower of Babel.
Yeah, that was it.
Clearly after we were one language, then lots... The point being, there's a lot of lost knowledge because you don't know any of those languages, right?
Yes.
Like, we had a huge advantage in World War II because they didn't know our Native American language.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because that knowledge had been lost or never discovered in Europe. And it's pretty much almost gone in America. And how many languages have we lost in America? So to think that there's not lost knowledge is ludicrous.
Yeah, well, even to think like how many different tribes of Indians have gone away, where I imagine each of them had their own language, or at least different dialects.
There is, and again, I'm not super knowledgeable. Anthropology is not any of my fields of study or interest. But I have seen a few different things that talk about that there was a time before North America was settled by Europeans that the population was as big as Europe's population.
Not if you talk to archaeologists. That's not a thing.
If you talk to archaeologists, the archaeologists are the one who did it because they found, like, when they go through and research all of the first European writings, there were huge boulevards through the forests.
Oh, you're talking South America.
I'm talking North America.
Really? I haven't heard that.
Huge boulevards going through our forests, which, if you know anything about how forests work, that's not how they frickin' work, right?
Yeah.
And they were like, wait a second, these must have been roads. I believe they talk about this in the book Guns, Germs, and Steel.
I've seen that. I think I started that once.
It's a huge book. But yes, I think they talk about it in there that when you go through the early people, they found them, but they were like, there was things like huge open areas that were like gorgeous. And then in today's mindset, when you're looking at that and you're like, wait, that's not how forests work. Why was that area wide open? And then you're like, oh crap, that was where people were. Like, they had cleared that area. They had made roads. And what they think happened is, just as you would think, that there was pandemics, right? Because before the normal Europeans got here, you had all of the Vikings get here.
Yes.
And so they're like, in that time between the Vikings and the other Europeans, it killed them all off. Like the diseases ravaged them.
Okay.
Right? And so then the Europeans came and they're like, wait a second. And then you're like, wait, their government was so much more advanced than European government. Right, because it was the leftover governments that they had been using.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't need that kind of a government. That's the kind that existed because it had already existed. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's things like that.
I'll have to go back and listen to that again. If I did, it's been a long time.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Or I didn't finish it.
Well, and it's kind of one of those things, but again, we're egotistical, Europeans, right? We're like, no, we settled America. There was nobody here.
Yeah.
But again, how much knowledge did we lose?
Yeah, exactly. We'll just even look at South America with the Aztecs and the Incas, and when the Europeans came over and just everything was burned.
Yes, and they just burned it all. Like, you can't tell me knowledge wasn't lost during that time, right? We lost knowledge. Now, is it knowledge that maybe is relevant? Maybe not, right? Like those dead languages, I don't know if they're relevant right now. They might be.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe for deciphering some things when we're like, oh wait, this is what they meant. So there's something that I really, really want to say, but I have to save it till Thursday. So we might have to talk about it next week after.
What?
Because I think Jamie and Jason have to be there.
For us to say it?
For me to say it. It's just a teaser for our friends.
Maybe they won't. Maybe they won't listen.
Yeah, because people who are listening this week, they'll listen next week, and they'll be able to be like, "I wonder what that was that Kilter was talking about." It's so great. I've been thinking about it for a while, like how to do it, and especially with I thought that is at least a decent debate with the Terrence Howard on Thursday, where this is going to be amazing. This is going to be so good.
Oh, you're saying this is going to be an argument, a debate.
I want to make a statement, and I know your head will explode. Jamie's head will explode. Then I can explain it, and Jamie's head's going to explode again. And you'll be like, maybe. Jason and I will be like, yep.
I'm excited to hear this. I wish I could hear it now.
I wish.
It's rare that my head explodes. It's more likely that I'll be like, "You're a dumbass." So
that's what I mean by head exploding.
Oh, because you bring in a great point that I was thinking with your friends who were talking about the Terrence Howard show, and they were like, "Yeah, why doesn't Joe Rogan bring people on to debate him?" And you and I have had this talk with Jason before. And we've had this talk on here. Like, I don't argue with people. Like, if they brought me on a show and they're like, hey, would you debate this guy? And he was like, hey, so look, I found this periodic table with waves and stuff, and what do you think? I'd be like, cool. Like, well, why won't you argue with him? Because I can't fix that. Like, you're clearly, you don't have the basics of knowledge. Again, that Dunning-Kruger effect, right? You don't have the basics of knowledge for me to debate you. All we would be saying is your side of the story, my side of the story. What do people think? That's not a debate, right?
Yeah. So although, going back to that, since you brought it up again, one thing that he said that I loved, he said rather than, because it seemed like he tended to lean a little bit more atheist, maybe. Definitely anti-church. I don't know his beliefs.
Sure.
But rather than waiting for Christ or to come back to act like you would think that how you would act, why don't people walk around spreading love, spreading kindness, acting like that right now? The world would change fundamentally. And I agreed with that. I thought that was really cool.
Literally, they preach it almost every Sunday.
And that's what people need to do.
So when he says, yeah, I'm not about church, but why don't they do that? That you don't know they do that because you don't go to church.
No, he was anti-church because he was talking about a lot of knowledge way back when people had things that disagreed with the church. they would be killed or they would be exiled or
Sure.
hurt or just thrown in jail. That's why he's anti-church, I would say, from listening to that.
Yeah.
But people don't. There's a lot of people who go to that building every Sunday who don't act like that. I would say it's a super small number.
No. I'm
of
not
people
saying whether
who
they act
go to
it.
church and who act that way.
No, I would concur. I would concur for sure.
Yes, I agree. It's taught.
But they're
regularly.
teaching that every Sunday. They're like, go spread the kindness. Go spread the love. We are about love. You need to go spread the love. You need to spread the kindness. You need to embrace everybody. Like, seriously, they've got to talk about it 3 out of every 4 Sundays. Easily, if not more.
You think people would start listening more, or at least acting?
Like,
when people are ready.
When people get grumpy, like, about my faith, right? We've talked before. I have a pretty strong faith. And people are like, well, and you've heard me deal with people who are religious or atheists, and people will say dumbass stuff, and I'll be like, you don't know your own faith, and you are trying to pigeonhole my faith into a spot that is not true. Like, let me give you an example, right? Here's one of my favorite examples. So listeners, you can skewer me for this or not. I don't really care, right? But one of my favorite examples is people will be like, well, your church hates gays. I'm like, what are you talking about? I go, half the priests are gay. Like, what? Like, what do you even mean? Like, that's why there's the child sex abuse scandal. I'm like, what are you talking about? They don't hate gays. Like, that's not a thing. And they're like, well, yeah, you guys don't believe in gay marriage. I'm like, because the church defines marriage as a sacrament. We also, just for the record, don't believe in marriages not in the church. If you go and get married in Las Vegas, the Catholic Church doesn't believe that's a marriage.
Yeah.
If you go and get married in a Jewish synagogue, we don't believe that's a marriage. It's not just gay people. It's all the people. We don't believe you're married. Right? Because to us, it's a religious sacrament. We have 7 of them, and that's one. Right? And we believe that thing is sacred and holy, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
We think gay people are amazing. Right? We love gay people.
I would say and
they tell us to love gay people. They're like, make sure you're not hating gay people. Love gay people.
Yeah, I would say on the scale of how I know faiths and religions that the Catholic Church is definitely more liberal than many others who don't necessarily have that. And it's true. I mean, people say that they try to like you said, put the Catholic Church in with that because of the things that they hear and how people act who follow Christ and who are, maybe, I'm not going to name any because it's unfair to name any.
Sure.
Non-Catholic Christians.
Well, and I think what gets people is there's a difference in our world in Catholic faith of marriage and not marriage. So they'll be like, yeah, but you think gay people are sinners. We're like, no, we think people who have sex that aren't married are sinners.
Yeah.
And that includes all the people who aren't married or the people who got divorced. Like, we categorize them all as sinners. And they're like, see? And I'm like, you're missing a huge point about Catholics. And they're like, what? I go, Catholics believe we're all sinners. So we believe that everybody's a sinner. We don't believe anybody is not a sinner. Like, that's like the baseline. And if you're sitting there listening to this, because we have Catholic friends who listen and are like, not all Catholics are sinners. Bullshit! Like, that's literally what we believe, that we're all sinners. And so, yeah, we believe gay people are sinning. We believe they're sinning because they're having sex that isn't married. It's not for creation purposes. We also believe that divorced people are sinning. We believe people are sinning who do all sorts of things. Like, sin is kind of our bag. Right? It's kind of the thing. Right? And you need to try not to sin. That's kind of one of our things. Like, That, like, your job is to work hard at not being bad and being out there loving people and showing kindness. That's what you push. And the problem is as you've identified, a lot of religions want an us versus them. They want people to be bad. They want people to go to hell. They want people to be punished. And this might sound bizarre, but that ain't the Jesus way.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever read that book.
Don't know if you read that.
Talks about him.
Yeah, don't know if you read that big ass book.
I don't remember him saying that.
Like, he was the guy who said, like, don't be holding other people accountable. Don't stone the people, right? Like, you don't have to condemn people, right? But oh man, we love to condemn. Yeah. But so I can get
It's like judging. It's like judging. When you're judging people, you're in a state of judgment. Like, just let it go. Like, you don't have to be like that.
And
let someone's doing their thing, let them do their thing. And
yes,
we're all on a different path.
And listeners, please don't take this as Kilton and I believing we are above this, right? Kilton knows this. We have talked about it so much. One of the hardest things for me, it's always been hard, and I really feel in the last 10 years as I've gotten older that I've gotten better of it. But judging people is like one of my huge, huge flaws. Like, I try super hard not to judge people, and it's immensely hard for me. It's immensely hard. Kilton knows that. Like, I used to judge people hard when we were in college. Like, I had no pity, no empathy, no remorse, just judgment. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, no, I shouldn't judge them. And my natural state is to judge them, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. The Catholic faith is like, fight that natural state. We understand you're going to be tribal and want to kill people from other tribes. We know that's how you work. Fight that. Fight that feeling. And for me, fight that judgment. And right, part of it's hard because I'm literally, I have to judge people. It's part of my gig. But I also need to judge them from a point of love and kindness and empathy, not a judgment as in they're a bad person.
I have that in my life as well. There's people who I'm really, really working on whenever I think about them to send love and light, to wish them the best rather than think ill,
See, and that's what makes you so much of a better person than me. Right there. Because, like, I was just thinking about something yesterday. Literally drove by the person's house, saw them outside with their kid, being a beautiful, beautiful family. And I thought, it's important for me to recognize I am sending you as many evil thoughts right now as I can. And I'm like, and it's so wrong that I'm sending you these evil thoughts, but I have to send them to you. I can't. Like,
you're powerful that way. Your power.
I couldn't rein that in. And I'm like, I know. I need help. I need to rein this in. But like, that was one of those. That's, like I said, you are so good about no, stop, send that person love and kindness, and I try. But I fail at that, like, where I'm like, and I'm really good with people who don't, like, get me to that level. Like, you know, a lot of people, I'm like, nope, that's not against me. That's not against my people. That's not whatever. But then there's other people who I'm like, oh, sorry, you went against my people and you crossed a line and now you need the wrath. And so
fall down the stairs and break your arm.
You need to fall down the stairs and break your arm. Sometimes bad things happen to bad people. So,
that's it. That may have, may not have happened to somebody.
Sometimes bad things happen to bad people. That's just the way it is, right? And I tell people you have to use your powers for good, and I struggle with that. I struggle. Right? And that's what makes us on different parts of our journey, right? You are so good at that That's why I always think you're a way better person, because you are able to consistently be like, nope, I'm going to send them grace. Whereas I'm better about sending grace than I used to be. But I still have the moments like that where I'm like, nope, you do not get grace. You don't get it. It's off the table.
I'm even getting better with driving. Like, oh, that person must be in a hurry. They forgot to fill their blinker fluid. And they needed to be in front of me for whatever reason they needed to be in front, or they needed to cut me off for whatever reason.
They needed to get there, and they needed to go. Well, and I think this circles back to exactly what we're talking about with that effect, right? Because when we're looking at that Dunning-Kruger effect, and we're talking about religion, we're talking about Terrence Howard, who's like, yeah, I'm against the church or the religion, and it's the same thing with other people. It's because you don't know. Right? And you think you know more than you know because you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? And so you overestimate your skills because of your lack of knowledge. And the problem is that people with, and this is part of the same effect, right? Like if you guys look this up, if you have a really high knowledge or skill base, you underestimate it.
Yeah.
And so you got...
I was going to say, there is that other side of it.
Right. So it works. It's funny because it works opposite. And so what it does is it creates this weirdness where you have, and I'm going to be kind of mean to people, you got idiots thinking they're geniuses and geniuses thinking they're idiots. And now because of the last, 15 years, they all feel like they can talk about it. And so we get to hear the idiocy all the time. Like, oh my gosh, get off your soapbox. Literally had a person at a meeting this week. Kid you frickin' not, right? They were like, when I've been in this community longer than everybody, I was back here when the road around the lake was a dirt road and they used to oil that road. And we're all like, cool. And they're like, and that's how I want this community to be, and that's what I want it to go back to.
Go back?
I'm like, are you kidding? You want the roads to be maybe you should move out west. Like maybe
there are still dirt roads out there where they'll spray the oil into your drinking supply for you.
I'm like, are you listening to the words? I think you're trying to say something else. I think you long for simpler days. I think is what you're trying to say. But your town is never going back to what it was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Charlotte's not going to go back 50 years. Like it doesn't matter how many people who lived in Queens City, 100 years ago. It depends on
how high the
water gets.
The ocean rises. I've seen a map. We're right on the edge.
I was going to say you're kind of on the edge. Oh my goodness. Well, I am super excited to tell people next week of the debate we're going to have.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I have a feeling it won't blow my mind at all. It will be more like eye rolls.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. You're just going to be like, you're dumb. And Jamie may be really, really up. Because the statement that I want to make, I know your feelings on it.
How would you not know my feelings on almost every statement you would ever make?
I know, but this is fun because it was an interesting twist to it.
Where did you hear it from?
Bashar was talking about it.
Nice. Go Bashar. I've never listened to Bashar. I'm hoping that I never will. I think I'm going to try to never listen to Bashar.
Really? Are we winding down?
We are. So, yeah. Can you do it for us?
It's about the Earth being flat.
Oh, nice. That is not what I thought you were going to do. I thought you were going to do this. Like we're almost out of time.
So you can prepare. You can take 2 days and prepare for that.
I don't need to prepare for that. Again, that's like an easy one to not debate. If
Oh, good.
did you die?
I did. I started coughing. It made me laugh.
I mean, it would be fantastic.
You're speechless. Exactly.
It
But
would
look
be
what did come in today. Look what
fantastic
did come in today.
for an alien. How many miles above the Earth is the alien, Bashar?
It depends.
Give me your rough estimate.
I think one of the most recent ones I've heard was like 1,000 miles or something like that.
So you got an alien that's 1,000 miles above the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly knows that it's not flat in terms of normal definitions. So I'm excited to hear how that ever turned into somebody saying we have a flat Earth would be great.
Because he says it like that. Like the way people are thinking, no, like the Earth is round. But because we are spiritual beings having a human experience,
yes,
right? We can say that. Like our souls are here to experience something. You know, he talks about like it's not real. Like if you think of a movie, the movie is on the screen, you see it. The screen is flat. Yeah. The movie coming in may not be. Like the projection is not flat, but what you're seeing is flat. So technically everything is flat. This is how he said it. So it is flat. Because it's just our experience.
So this may or may not blow Jamie's mind. I'm sure he won't listen to this, so it may or may not. But all he is...
No, I think just by making the statement that the Earth is flat is funny.
Oh yeah,
I knew you would. That's what I think is hilarious.
I think what is gonna happen here is, I mean, I don't know how smart Jamie is in his old age, right? Like,
well, he definitely doesn't think we're spiritual beings having a human experience.
It doesn't matter because what you're describing is literally what it meant, like what the prediction is for the 4th, 5th, 6th dimensions. Like you always perceive things one dimension under where you're at. Mm-hmm. So if you were a 4th dimensional or 5th dimensional being, you would see the Earth as flat. That's how it would appear. You always visualize it one level lower than where you're at. So very common, normal science stuff, hard for lay people to understand, but normal. But it might be out of Jamie's realm because he's not as smart as he once was. So, you know, I think when people start studying business, they lose brain cells. So when he started working on a master's of business. So anyway, people.
But yeah, I've listened to that episode a couple times. It's great. I like it. It's funny.
Nope. Yep. Not mind blowing. Just how you perceive it.
That look on your face, though. I was hoping for more of a rise out of you, because I know your feelings that when people start talking about that on the other side, not necessarily spiritual stuff.
When people say that the Earth is a disc, in common parlance, like a frisbee shape, they know it's wrong. That bothers me. like you can read whatever you want to read, believe whatever you want to believe, but you know that the shape of it is the shape of what. So to put what you said in perspective, right? What you are saying is that the Earth is not round the same way that a basketball is not round. So you are not arguing the fact that the basketball and the Earth are not still the same shape. You're saying it's how you perceive the shape. It's how you perceive it from whatever dimension you're in. And so that's reasonable. saying that the basketball is round and the earth is a frisbee is asinine. Because you can actually check. Where did you get this football from? We're going way
this
over.
This is a gift. Oh, is it?
Yeah, but it's okay.
Yeah, Joe Montana signed it.
Joe Montana. I used to love Joe. Only the name.
Yeah.
Like I never really watched him. I just played.
Did you see the other thing? So Joe Montana is the GOAT, and the way they wrote it is that Trevor is hoping to be the GOAT, but he was definitely a GOAT in college, and it was his signed college jersey.
I did see it when you held it up.
So it's pretty cool. Especially living next door to Justin and Sierra, I was definitely a cheer for the kid.
Yeah.
Clemson jersey.
That's super awesome. Super awesome.
Okay, we're getting long. Thank you for listening, everybody.
Oh my gosh, people, we're so sorry we went long. We hope you enjoyed all of our new sound effects.
Butt scratcher! Here's your butt scratcher here. Butt scratcher! Butt scratcher! Butt scratcher!
We're going to have even more next time. It'll be super obnoxious. We hope you stick through to hear them. Otherwise, thank you so much for being it. We appreciate you. Right? We'll keep working on ourselves. You keep working on you. And this is Ballbuster signing off.
Get the Dragon Jerry. Love you all.